He had everything: penthouse in Manhattan, Ferrari in the garage, a different woman every week. Then, one Tuesday morning, he walked onto his balcony and jumped 53 floors down. The police found a note with just 3 words: "It wasn't enough." Today, I'll tell you why the American dream is actually a nightmare in disguise. Money, the God we worship without admitting it, the salvation we chase our entire lives. We tell ourselves, once I have enough money, I'll be happy. Once I can afford that house, that car, that lifestyle, then I'll finally feel complete. But here's the uncomfortable truth that society doesn't want you to know. Some of the richest people on earth are utterly miserable. They have everything money can buy, and they'd trade it all just to feel something real. Robin Williams, Anthony Bourdain, Avicii, Kate Spade, names you know. People who had wealth, fame, success, everything, were taught to want, and they still chose death over living another day. Why? What did they know that we don't? Today we're going to destroy the most dangerous lie ever sold to humanity, that money equals happiness. And I'm going to show you exactly how this lie is destroying your life right now, whether you're rich or poor. Welcome to Uncensored. Strap in. This one's going to hurt. Let me tell you about a psychological phenomenon called hedonic adaptation. It's the scientific term for why you're never satisfied. Here's how it works. You want a new phone. You save up for months. You finally buy it. For the first week, you're ecstatic. You show it to everyone. You feel like you've upgraded your life. Then, week 2 hits. The phone is just a phone. The excitement is gone. Now, you're already eyeing the next model. This isn't weakness. This is how your brain is wired. Your brain has a baseline level of happiness. Let's call it a 5 out of 10. When something good happens, you get a raise, buy a car, win the lottery, your happiness spikes to an 8 or 9. But here's the catch. Within weeks, sometimes days, you return to 5. Always 5. No matter what you acquire. Scientists studied lottery winners and found that within a year, they were no happier than before they won. Some were even more miserable because now they had new problems: paranoia, fake friends, family members demanding money, the pressure to maintain a lifestyle they couldn't actually afford long term. The same thing happens to people who get rich. That first million feels incredible. The second million feels good. By the 10th million, it's just numbers on a screen. This is why billionaires don't stop at 1 billion. They chase 2, then 5, then 10. Not because they need it, but because the high from achievement fades so quickly that they need bigger and bigger wins just to feel something. It's identical to drug addiction. The first hit is euphoric, but you build tolerance. So you need more and more and more until you're chasing a high you'll never catch again. Money is the same drug, and most people are addicted without even knowing it. Now, let me ask you something. Why do you want money? Think carefully. Don't give me the surface answer. Go deeper. I want financial security. Okay, but why? So I don't have to worry. About what? About survival. About being okay. And then what? Then I'll be happy. There it is. The lie. You think money will make you happy, but money doesn't create happiness. It only removes certain types of suffering. Being poor sucks. I'm not romanticizing poverty. Not having enough money to eat, to pay rent, to see a doctor, that's real suffering. And money absolutely solves that. But once your basic needs are met, and studies show this happens around $75,000 a year in most Western countries, additional money has almost zero impact on your happiness. Zero. A person making $75,000 is, on average, just as happy as someone making $750,000, and sometimes happier, because the person making $750,000 has different problems. The stress of maintaining that income, the pressure of lifestyle inflation, the isolation of wealth. So if money doesn't buy happiness after a certain point, why are rich people still chasing it? Because they're not chasing money. They're running from something. They're running from the emptiness inside them, the void, the feeling that something is fundamentally wrong, broken, missing. And they believe, desperately, religiously believe, that if they just achieve enough, acquire enough, accomplish enough, that feeling will go away. It won't, because the void isn't about what you lack externally. It's about what you've lost internally. Let me tell you about a man I'll call David. Not his real name, but his story is real. David grew up poor, single mother, 3 siblings, welfare checks, second-hand clothes. He swore he'd escape that life. So he worked, obsessively, graduated, top of his class. Got into an Ivy League school on scholarship, became a lawyer, made partner by 35. By 40, he was making $500,000 a year. Nice house, beautiful wife, 2 kids in private school. Everything he'd ever wanted. And he told me he felt absolutely nothing. He'd wake up in his expensive bed, in his expensive house, and feel a crushing emptiness. He'd drive to work in his expensive car and think, is this it? Is this what I sacrificed everything for? He'd achieved the dream, and the dream was hollow. This is what they don't tell you about success. You can win the game and still lose yourself. David realized something terrifying. He'd spent 20 years climbing a ladder, only to discover it was leaning against the wrong wall. He didn't want to be a lawyer. He'd chosen law because it paid well. He didn't love his wife. He'd married her because she fit the image of success. He barely knew his kids because he was always working. He'd built a perfect life on paper, and it felt like a prison. This is the dark secret of the wealthy. Many of them are living lives they hate, surrounded by things they don't care about, achieving goals that were never really theirs to begin with. They're trapped in golden cages, and the worst part? They can't admit it, because if you have everything and you're still unhappy, what does that say about you? You plus. It says you're broken, ungrateful, wrong. So they smile. They post pictures of their vacations on Instagram. They buy another watch, another car, another house. Anything to avoid the screaming silence of their own emptiness. Here's something else nobody talks about. Money isolates you. When you're wealthy, you can't trust anyone's intentions. That person being nice to you, do they actually like you, or do they want something? That friend who asks to borrow money, are they really your friend, or just using you? Rich people live in a constant state of paranoia, and they're not wrong to feel that way, because people do treat them differently. Studies show that as people become wealthier, they become more socially isolated. Their circle gets smaller. They surround themselves with other wealthy people, creating an echo chamber where everyone is equally miserable but pretending to be fine. And here's the cruel irony. The things that actually make humans happy, deep relationships, genuine connection, being part of a community, become harder to access as you get richer. Because wealth creates distance. You're no longer relatable. Your problems sound like humble brags. My accountant screwed up my taxes, and now I owe an extra $50,000. Try saying that to someone working 2 jobs to pay rent. You become alienated from normal life. You forget what it's like to worry about grocery bills. You lose touch with the struggles that connect most people. And slowly, insidiously, you become lonely, surrounded by people but utterly alone. Now let's talk about something even more dangerous: tying your identity to your wealth. When you define yourself by what you have, you become terrified of losing it, because if you lose your money, you lose yourself. This is why rich people often work harder than poor people, not because they need the money, and they don't, but because work is their identity, achievement is their worth, net worth equals self-worth. And the problem with this equation is that it's never enough. If you're worth 10 million, someone else is worth 100 million. If you're worth 100 million, someone else is a billionaire. There's always someone richer, more successful, more accomplished. So you're stuck in an endless competition you can't win. And every time you achieve a goal, instead of feeling satisfied, you immediately set a higher one, because stopping feels like failure. Contentment feels like giving up. This is the trap. Success becomes an addiction, not to the money itself, but to the validation it provides. The proof that you matter, that you're valuable, that you're enough. But you're chasing external validation for an internal problem, and external validation can never, ever fill an internal void. Here's a question that destroys rich people. What's next? When you've achieved everything you set out to achieve, when you have more money than you could spend in 3 lifetimes, when there's nothing left to chase, what do? This is called the existential crisis of success, and it's more common than you think. People spend their entire lives working toward a goal: retirement, financial freedom, making it. And when they finally get there, they realize the goal was never the point. The chase was the point. The struggle gave their life meaning. Without it, they're lost. This is why so many retired people die within a few years of retiring. They lose their purpose, their reason to get up in the morning. And it's why so many wealthy people keep working long past the point of needing to, not because they love it, but because they don't know who they are without it. Money gave them an identity, a role, a reason to exist. Take that away, and what's left? Just them, alone with their thoughts, forced to confront the question they've been avoiding their entire lives. Who am I, really? And what do I actually want? And for many, the answer is terrifying. I don't know. Let's get specific. Here are the things money absolutely cannot buy, no matter how rich you are. It can't buy time. You can hire people to do tasks for you, but you can't buy back the years you spent working 80-hour weeks. You can't buy back your children's childhood. You can't buy back your health after decades of stress. It can't buy genuine love. You can attract people with money. You can buy attention, companionship, even sex. But you can't buy someone loving you for who you are, not what you have. So, it can't buy respect. People might defer to you because of your wealth. They might fear you, envy you, resent you. But respect, real respect, is earned through character, not cash. It can't buy meaning. You can fund charities, build monuments, put your name on buildings, but you can't buy a sense that your life matters. That comes from living according to your values, not your bank account. It can't buy peace of mind. Rich people have anxiety, depression, insomnia, addiction, all at rates comparable to everyone else, because mental suffering doesn't care how much money you have. It can't buy self-worth. You can achieve incredible things, but if you hate yourself, no amount of external success will change that. The voice in your head calling you worthless doesn't shut up just because you're rich. Money is a tool, nothing more. It amplifies who you already are. If you're miserable and poor, money might make you comfortable and miserable. If you're happy and poor, money might make you comfortable and happy. But it won't fundamentally change you. It won't fix what's broken inside. Social media has made this worse, exponentially worse. Now, you're not just comparing yourself to your neighbors or coworkers. You're comparing yourself to curated highlight reels of millions of people worldwide. Someone always has a nicer car, a bigger house, a hotter partner, a more exotic vacation, more followers, more success. And here's the sick part. The people you're envying are envying someone else. The person with $100,000 wishes they had $1 million. The millionaire wishes they had 10 million. The person with 10 million wishes they were a billionaire. The billionaire wishes they were Elon Musk. It never ends. There's always another level, always someone doing better. This is called the comparison trap, and it's a guaranteed path to misery because you're measuring your worth by a standard that's infinite. You're racing against a finish line that moves every time you get close. And the worst part? You're comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. You see their success. You don't see their anxiety, their failing marriage, their addiction, their depression. You see the penthouse. You don't see the person crying in it at 3 a.m., wondering why they feel so empty. Let me tell you what wealth actually costs. It costs your time, the years you'll spend working instead of living. It costs your relationships, the friendships you'll neglect, the family dinners you'll miss, the moments with your kids you'll never get back. It costs your health, the stress, the sleepless nights, the heart attacks at 50. It costs your authenticity, the parts of yourself you'll suppress to be professional, the dreams you'll abandon because they don't pay well. It costs your values, the compromises you'll make, the ethics you'll bend, the person you'll become that your younger self wouldn't recognize. And here's the question nobody wants to answer. Is it worth it? Is the money worth becoming someone you don't like? Is success worth being estranged from your children? Is wealth worth dying alone? Because that's the trade. And millions of people make it every day without realizing what they're giving up. They think they're climbing towards something, but they're actually falling away from everything that matters. Here's where I'm supposed to give you the solution. The 5 steps to happiness. The secret to having money and being fulfilled. But I'm not going to do that. Because there's no formula, no hack, no shortcut. The truth is simpler and harder than that. Happiness doesn't come from what you have. It comes from who you are and how you live. You want to be happy? Figure out what you actually value, not what society tells you to value, not what your parents wanted for you, not what looks good on Instagram. What do you care about? What makes you feel alive? What would you do if money wasn't a factor? Then do that. Build a life around that. Even if it pays less, even if it's not impressive, even if nobody understands. Because here's the secret rich people learn too late. The only wealth that matters is the wealth of time, health, relationships, and meaning. Everything else is just numbers on a screen. You can have $1 billion and be spiritually bankrupt, or you can have enough to live simply and be the richest person in the room. The question isn't, how do I get rich? The question is, what kind of life do I want to live? And am I living it? If the answer is no, then all the money in the world won't save you. So here's the brutal, final truth. Money doesn't make you happy, but poverty makes you miserable. So you need enough to be comfortable, to meet your needs, to feel secure, to have options. After that, it's diminishing returns. More money doesn't equal more happiness. It often equals more complexity, more stress, more isolation. The richest people aren't the ones with the most money. They're the ones who need the least to be content. And if you're chasing wealth because you think it will fix you, because you think it will fill the void, because you think it will finally make you enough, stop. You're already enough. You just don't believe it yet. The void you feel isn't because you lack money. It's because you lack connection to yourself, to others, to something bigger than your bank account. And you can have all the money in the world and still be empty, or you can have very little and be full. The choice is yours. But choose consciously, because the saddest people on earth are the ones who climbed the wrong mountain, reached the peak, and realized too late that the view wasn't worth the climb. This was Uncensored. If this made you uncomfortable, good. That means you're paying attention. Subscribe for more truths that society doesn't want you to hear. Next time, we're talking about why you're so lonely in the most connected era in history. You won't like the answer.